In my hospital room, my daughter ripped the monitor leads from my chest and whispered, "If you'd just signed those papers, Mom, none of this would be necessary." But a doctor was standing right outside. She'd seen everything. She stepped in, eyes sharp, voice calm. "Step away from the patient. Security is already on the way." My daughter's face went pale. My son-in-law started scrambling for excuses. But 10 minutes later, they were both in handcuffs. And I realized something that made my blood run cold. This wasn't panic. This was planned. Thank you for being here with me. Before we continue, please take a moment to let me know where you're watching from. Your city, your country, anywhere in the world. Reading your comments reminds me that I'm not alone in this. And just so you know, some parts of this story contain dramatized elements for storytelling and educational purposes. Some details have been adjusted, but the message behind it is meaningful and helpful. My daughter's voice cut through the fog of medication before my eyes could focus. Sharp, cold. Nothing like the voice that used to read me bedtime stories. Finally, she's been milking this for attention as usual. I tried to open my eyes fully, but the fluorescent lights felt like needles pressing into my skull. My body, all 60 years of it, felt like wet concrete. Heavy, unresponsive. Every breath sent jagged pain through my chest, and my right wrist throbbed beneath what felt like a cast. The last clear memory I had was metal folding in on itself, my car spinning, a stranger's voice yelling that help was coming, then sirens, then nothing but this tangled in wires, one arm wrapped in something stiff, my ribs screaming. "Mom, can you hear me?" Vanessa, my daughter. 34 years old, standing at the edge of my hospital bed like she was inspecting damage she didn't believe was real. Her husband Travis hovered behind her, checking his phone. I managed to nod, throat too dry to speak. I reached for the water cup, but my hand shook so badly I couldn't grasp it. Vanessa watched me struggle. Didn't help, just watched. "So dramatic," she said, glancing at the monitors beeping beside me. "You totaled your car for what, a few cracked ribs and a sprain?" Travis chuckled without looking up. I stayed silent, stunned. My throat burned and I didn't trust myself to speak anyway. Something felt wrong. Vanessa leaned closer, her eyes flicking to the heart monitor, showing my pulse, the steady rhythm that proved I was still alive. "This beeping is so annoying," she said. Then she whispered, "You know, if you'd just signed those papers last month like I asked, none of this would be necessary." Papers. My mind tried to grab the memory, but everything was swimming through morphine. What papers? Before I could process it, her hand moved. Not toward me, toward the monitor. I watched confused as her fingers wrapped around the cable connecting the sensors to my chest. She didn't hesitate, didn't look around. She just yanked. The leads came free, the screen went black. The alarm sounded within seconds, sharp, insistent beeping down the hall. I didn't move, didn't scream. Too tired, too hurt, too stunned. My own daughter. The girl I'd raised alone through double shifts and scraped together rent payments. She'd just tried to end my life. Travis moved near the door, casual, blocking. Footsteps pounded down the hallway, fast. Dr. Rebecca Sanderson stepped through before Travis could react. She was maybe 40, with sharp eyes that took in everything instantly, the dangling leads, Vanessa's hand, still near the equipment. My face frozen in shock. "Step away from the patient," she said, calm but steel underneath. "Now." Vanessa's mask slipped. She asked me to adjust it. "I know what I just saw." Dr. Sanderson reconnected the leads quickly. My heart rate appeared on the screen, again, elevated, hammering, but alive. She pressed the call button. "Security to room 407 and call Portland Police." "You're overreacting," Travis said. "We're her family." "You were interfering with medical equipment on a vulnerable patient." Dr. Sanderson positioned herself between them and me. To me, her voice softened. "You're safe now, Mrs. Harris." 2 security guards arrived first, then 2 police officers. The female officer asked if I felt safe. I didn't answer. Couldn't. But that was answer enough. They told my daughter and son-in-law they were being detained for interfering with medical equipment and endangering a patient. I watched Vanessa stumble over her words, deny everything, then go silent as security escorted them both out. The door clicked shut, And for the first time since I'd woken up, I didn't feel like I was the problem. But I also didn't feel safe, because as they led her out in handcuffs, my daughter, my only child, I heard the officer reading her rights. That's when it hit me. This wasn't panic or confusion. This wasn't a mistake. This was calculated. The detectives arrived within an hour of the incident. I sat propped up in bed, still tethered to monitors, my right wrist throbbing beneath the fresh cast. 2 officers, one older, gray-haired with a wedding band worn thin. The other younger, holding a tablet, pulled chairs close and spoke in low, steady voices. "Mrs. Harris, we need to understand what happened in this room today." I told them what I remembered. My daughter's cold eyes. The silence before she reached for the monitor, leads. The alarm. Dr. Sanderson rushing in. The officers took notes without interrupting. When I finished, the older detective nodded. "Dr. Sanderson has provided us with documentation," he said. "This wasn't the first time your daughter tried to interfere with your care." Dr. Sanderson entered the room, then carrying a thin folder. She set it on the bedside table and opened it carefully, her expression serious but calm. "Evelyn, I want you to see this," she said. "Over the past 3 days, while you were recovering from surgery, Vanessa attempted to access your medical chart 4 separate times. Each time, nursing staff denied her request. She also presented a power of attorney document to the records department, claiming authority to make decisions on your behalf." My stomach turned. "I never signed anything like that." "We know," Dr. Sanderson said gently. "The document was flagged immediately. The signature didn't match your hospital intake forms. Our legal team has already documented the attempted fraud." The younger detective looked up from his tablet. "We also have a witness statement from a staff nurse. She overheard your daughter speaking to someone on the phone in the hallway yesterday afternoon. The exact words were, 'The life insurance policy is too big to wait much longer. We need to move this forward.'" I felt the room tilt. My own daughter. Talking about me like I was an obstacle, like I was already gone. "There's a pattern here, Mrs. Harris," the older detective said. "This was planned." A soft knock interrupted us. A woman in her early 60s stepped into the room. Short silver hair, bright blue eyes, a familiar face I hadn't seen in weeks. Dorothy Wagner, my best friend. My emergency contact. "Evelyn," she breathed, crossing the room quickly. She took my good hand in both of hers. "Thank God you're awake." "Dorothy, how did you—" "The hospital called me this morning," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "I drove straight from Beaverton. I've been in the waiting room for hours. They wouldn't let me up until the police finished their initial report." The officers exchanged a glance. "Ms. Wagner." The younger one said, "You mentioned on the phone that Vanessa Harris contacted you recently." Dorothy's jaw tightened. 2 weeks ago. She called me out of the blue, said she was worried about Evelyn, said Evelyn had been forgetting things, showing signs of confusion, maybe early dementia. She asked if I'd noticed anything. My breath caught. "Dorothy, I'm not—" "I know," Dorothy said firmly. "I told her you were sharp as ever. But she kept pushing. She wanted me to agree with her. She was planting seeds, Evelyn. Trying to convince everyone around you that you were losing your mind." The older detective made a note. Classic isolation tactic. Undermine the victim's credibility with their support network. Dr. Sanderson spoke up. "We're moving Mrs. Harris to a secure floor. Restricted access. Only approved visitors. No exceptions." Dorothy squeezed my hand. "I'm staying with you tonight, and I've already called Vincent Monroe. He's an attorney who specializes in elder law. He's taking your case. He's willing to help." "He insisted," Dorothy said. "He'll be here first thing tomorrow morning." The officers stood. "We'll be in touch, Mrs. Harris. Vanessa and Travis Brennan are in custody. They'll be arraigned tomorrow. You're safe here." After they left, the room felt smaller, quieter. Dorothy helped me settle back against the pillows. My phone, still sealed in a plastic property bag, sat on the bedside table. Through the clear plastic, I could see the screen lighting up. Again, and again, and again. 23 missed calls, all from Vanessa. The threats had already begun. The nurse brought my belongings back the next morning. A clear plastic bag sealed with a hospital label, 1 wallet, 1 set of keys, 1 phone. The screen was cracked, spider-webbed fractures radiating from the upper left corner, but when Dorothy pressed the power button, it lit up. "Let's see what we're dealing with," she said quietly. I unlocked it with shaking fingers. The notification screen was a wall of red. 47 missed calls, all from Vanessa, all between midnight and 6 in the morning. Dorothy pulled a chair close. "May I listen to the voicemails?" I nodded. Oregon is a one-party consent state. If I agreed, she could legally record everything. She put the phone on speaker and pressed play. The first message was soft, almost gentle. "Mom, it's me. I know you're upset, but this is all a misunderstanding. Please call me back." The second was more insistent. "Mom, you're not thinking clearly. The medication is affecting your judgment. You need to talk to me." By the fifth message, the tone had shifted. "You're making a huge mistake. You're going to regret this." By the 10th, the mask was gone. "You think you can just cut me out after everything I've done for you. Don't think I'll let that happen." Dorothy's jaw tightened. She pulled out her own phone and started recording each voicemail one by one. Evidence. When the voicemails ended, I sat in silence. Dorothy scrolled further back. "Evelyn, when did Vanessa start asking you for money?" "I don't know. A year ago, maybe longer." She opened my text message history, months of conversations. Vanessa asking for $2,000 for car repairs, $5,000 for medical bills, $3,000 for an emergency. I'd sent the money every time. I was her mother. But the messages after each transfer were the same. When I asked about repayment, Vanessa's replies turned sharp. "Mom, you're getting confused again. We talked about this. You said it was a gift. You don't remember, do you? Maybe you should see a doctor." Dorothy's voice was steady. "She's been setting this up for months, building a narrative that you're losing your memory." I felt sick. "Evelyn," Dorothy said gently, "we need to check your bank accounts. Now." My hands were shaking as I opened the banking app. Joint with Vanessa set up years ago when she was in college. I'd never removed her name. The screen loaded. Checking account. Balance $3,247.82. I stared at the number. There should have been $47,000. Dorothy leaned over my shoulder. "Scroll down, check the transaction history." I scrolled. March 15th. Withdrawal. $15,000. March 10th. Withdrawal. $12,000. February 28th. Withdrawal. $8,200. On and on, dozens of withdrawals, all in the last 3 months. Dorothy frowned. "Why didn't you get alerts?" I tapped on the account settings. My stomach dropped. Contact information primary. Email v.harris.notifications@gmail.com. Primary phone 97155588834. Not my email, not my phone. "She changed it," I whispered. "All the alerts went to her, not mine." When Dorothy asked, I checked the history. Contact information last updated January 18th, 2024. 3 days after I'd given her my debit card during my surgery recovery. "She planned this from the beginning," Dorothy said. She was already dialing. "Vincent Monroe, we need you here now. Evelyn's accounts have been drained." Monroe's voice came through the speaker. "Take screenshots of every transaction. Forward them to my office. Evelyn, do you have any life insurance policies?" I nodded. $250,000. Vanessa is the beneficiary. A pause. "Not anymore," Monroe said. "We're changing that today." I stared at the number on the screen. $3,247. 40 years of my life reduced to a balance that wouldn't cover 2 months' rent. Dorothy's hand rested on my shoulder. "Evelyn, breathe." I couldn't. The room felt too small, the walls too close. I'd worked for 40 years. 40 years as a medical secretary. Modest pay, no bonuses, no windfalls, just steady, careful saving. $200 one paycheck, $500 the next, $800 if I skipped the holiday gifts or canceled the cable. Every dollar had a story. The vacation I didn't take in 1993, the car I drove for 12 years instead of replacing, the dinners I cooked at home while my coworkers went out. Gone, all of it, in 3 months. Dorothy scrolled through the transaction history again. "Evelyn, when did Vanessa get access to your debit card?" I closed my eyes trying to remember. January. I had a minor surgery. Gallbladder removal. I was recovering at home for 2 weeks. Vanessa offered to help with groceries, bills, prescriptions. I gave her my card to make things easier. And you never asked for it back. She's my daughter, I whispered. I trusted her. Dorothy's expression was tight-controlled. She's been stealing from you since January. $15,000 on March 15th, $12,000 on March 10th, $8,500 on February 28th. Smaller amounts before that. She waited until you were vulnerable, and then she drained you dry. Monroe's voice came through the speakerphone still on the bedside table. Evelyn, I need you to check your email. Search for messages from your life insurance company, Mutual of Oregon. I opened my email app with trembling hands. The search brought up 3 messages. The most recent was dated March 23rd, 5 days before the accident. Subject beneficiary change request, verification required. I opened it. Dear Ms. Harris, we received a request to change the primary beneficiary on your life insurance policy number ML-47382-OR from Vanessa Harris to Travis Brennan. However, the signature on the submitted form does not match our records. Per company policy, we require in-person verification or notarized confirmation before processing this change. Please contact our office within 10 business days to complete verification, or this request will be denied. My hands went numb. The phone nearly slipped from my grip. She tried to forge my signature. I said, my voice barely audible. She tried to make Travis the beneficiary. Monroe's tone sharpened. When was that email sent? March 23rd. A pause. 5 days before your accident. Dorothy's eyes widened. She needed you gone before the insurance company flagged the fraud. I felt the room tilt again. My daughter. My own daughter. She'd planned this. She'd tried to fake documents. And when that didn't work, she'd tried to... Number 1, I couldn't finish the thought. Monroe's voice cut through the silence. Evelyn, I'm filing emergency petitions today. A restraining order. An order to freeze all joint accounts. And I'm forwarding everything to the district attorney's office. Under Oregon law, financial exploitation of a person over 60 is a Class B felony. ORS 163.205. Vanessa can face up to 10 years in prison. Do it, I said. My voice was steadier now, clearer. I want her prosecuted, fully. I want every charge filed. Understood, Monroe said. There's one more thing. When Vanessa and Travis were booked last night, police inventoried the contents of Vanessa's purse. They found a USB drive. I had a forensic analyst review it this morning. Dorothy leaned closer. What was on it? Downloaded articles, Monroe said. How to obtain power of attorney for an incapacitated parent. How to challenge a parent's mental competency in court. Legal steps to assume control of an elderly person's finances. All downloaded in mid-January, 2 months ago. The heir left the room. She's been planning this since January, I said slowly. Since the surgery. Yes, Monroe said quietly. This wasn't impulsive. This was premeditated. She researched. She prepared. She waited for the right moment. Dorothy's jaw was set, her eyes hard. And when the forgery didn't work, she moved to plan B. Monroe didn't answer. He didn't need to. I looked at the phone screen again, at the email, at the date, March 23rd. 5 days later, I was in a hospital bed, fighting for my life, because my daughter had decided I was worth more gone than alive. 3 days passed in a fog. Physical therapy, pain medication, nightmares that jolted me awake in the middle of the night. Doctor. Sanderson checked on me every morning, her calm presence, the only steady thing in a world that had turned upside down. On April 2nd, she signed my discharge papers. You're healing well, she said, but you cannot go home alone. Do you understand? I nodded. Dorothy had already promised to stay with me. She'd taken a week off work. She wasn't leaving my side. A nurse wheeled me to the hospital entrance. Hospital policy. Even though I could walk, they insisted. Dorothy pulled her car up to the curb, a silver sedan, clean and reliable. My own car was gone. Totaled. I'd glimpsed it 2 days earlier when Dorothy drove past the impound lot. Crumpled metal, shattered glass, a vehicle that should have been my coffin. Dorothy helped me into the passenger seat and buckled my seatbelt with gentle hands. "Ready?" she asked. I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. The drive back to my apartment took 20 minutes. Southeast Portland, Hawthorne District. I'd lived there for 15 years. A quiet building. Good neighbors. A place that had always felt safe. Not anymore. Dorothy parked in the back lot. My landlord, Mr. Howard Spencer, was waiting by the entrance. Mid-50s, gray beard, kind eyes. He held the door open as Dorothy helped me inside. "Mrs. Harris," he said quietly. "I'm glad you're home safe." "Thank you, Howard." He hesitated. "I need to tell you something. Your daughter called 3 days ago. She said she had power of attorney and needed a spare key to your apartment. I told her I couldn't do that without written proof and your direct permission. She got angry, started threatening legal action." My stomach tightened. "Did she come here in person?" "No, but Travis Brennan did. Yesterday morning. He offered me $500 cash for a key. I refused. Then I called the police and filed a report. Detective Brennan has the documentation." Dorothy's hand squeezed my shoulder. "Thank you, Howard. That was exactly the right thing to do." He nodded. "I also installed a camera above your door, just in case. I hope that's all right." "It's more than all right," I said, my voice tight. "Thank you." He handed Dorothy the keys and stepped back. "If you need anything, I'm in Unit 102, day or night." Inside my apartment, everything looked the same. The furniture I'd chosen, the photos on the walls, the quilt my mother made draped over the couch. But it felt different. Violated. Like someone had been here even though nothing was out of place. Dorothy locked the door behind us. Deadbolt chain. She checked every window, every closet, every shadow. "All clear," she said. I sat down on the couch, my body aching. My wrist throbbed beneath the cast. My ribs burned with every breath. Dorothy made tea. We sat in silence. Then my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello." Vanessa's voice. Cold. Controlled. "Mom, you're making the biggest mistake of your life." I froze. Dorothy's eyes snapped to mine. "You have a restraining order," I said, my voice shaking. "You're not supposed to contact me. You think a piece of paper is going to stop me?" Vanessa laughed. It was a sound I didn't recognize. "You have no idea what you've started. You're going to regret this." Dorothy grabbed the phone from my hand. "This call is being recorded. You are violating a court order. We are reporting this immediately." The line went dead. Dorothy was already dialing 911. I sat on the couch staring at the phone in my lap. A restraining order, ankle monitors, police reports, legal petitions. All of it. Just paper. And if a piece of paper couldn't stop a phone call, what else couldn't it stop? The next morning, I opened the front door to retrieve the newspaper. A photograph slid across the threshold and landed at my feet. I picked it up with shaking hands. It was me, leaving the hospital 3 days earlier. Dorothy's arm around my shoulders, a wheelchair visible in the background. The angle suggested someone had been standing across the street, watching, waiting. I turned the photo over. Handwritten on the back in Vanessa's unmistakable script, "We're always watching, Mom." Dorothy appeared in the doorway. She took one look at the photo and her jaw tightened. "We're documenting everything," she said, "starting right now." She photographed the image, front and back. She noted the time, the date, the location. Then she sealed it in a plastic bag and added it to a growing file folder labeled Evidence. The phone call started an hour later. Travis first, his voice calm, reasonable, almost apologetic. "Evelyn, this has all gotten out of hand. Vanessa's just worried about you. We all are. Can't we sit down and talk like adults?" I didn't answer. Dorothy held up her phone recording. Oregon's one-party consent law meant we didn't need his permission. Vanessa called 20 minutes later. No pretense this time. "You're going to lose everything, Mom. Your home, your savings, your reputation. People are going to think you've lost your mind. And maybe you have." Dorothy ended the call and saved the recording. Time-stamped, documented, legal evidence of harassment. The calls continued throughout the day. 11 in total. Each one recorded. Each one added to the file. By late afternoon, I was exhausted. My wrist ached. My ribs throbbed. I sat on the couch staring at my damaged phone. The screen was cracked, the casing scratched. It had been in my purse during the accident, soaked by rain at the scene. dried out in the hospital property room. I turned it over in my hands and something clicked in my memory. "Dorothy," I said slowly, "I was using my voice memo app that morning." She looked up from her laptop. "What?" "The morning of the accident. I was driving to the grocery store. I always use the voice memo app to record my shopping list. It helps me remember things. I was talking into the phone when my breath caught, when the accident happened." Dorothy crossed the room in 3 steps. "Evelyn, are you saying your phone was recording during the crash?" "I think so. I don't remember turning it off." She took the phone carefully. "Can you access the app?" "I tried. The screen flickered, unresponsive in places. The voice memo app opened, then froze. A spinning wheel, an error message. The phone had been submerged, water damaged, the internal components compromised." "I can't get it to load," I whispered. Dorothy was already dialing. "Vincent, it's Dorothy. Evelyn's phone may have recorded audio during the accident, but the device is damaged. We need forensic data recovery." Monroe's voice came through the speaker. "Do not try to access it again. Any further attempts could corrupt the data permanently. I'm sending a courier to pick it up within the hour. I have a contact who specializes in water-damaged devices. It'll take 5 to 7 days for a full recovery, but if there's anything on that phone, we'll get it." "Thank you," I said, my voice barely audible. Monroe paused. "Evelyn, there's something else. Detective Sarah Brennan wants to re-interview you about the accident. They've located a witness they hadn't spoken to initially, a truck driver who was 2 vehicles behind you on I-205. He provided a statement yesterday." My heart pounded. "What did he say?" Detective Brennan didn't share details yet, but she also mentioned they've obtained traffic camera footage from that section of the highway. She wants to show it to you in person. Dorothy's hand found mine. "When?" "Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. at the station." There was a pause. Then Monroe's voice, quieter now, more serious. "Evelyn, Detective Brennan asked me to tell you something. She said, 'Tell Mrs. Harris this was not an accident.'" The room tilted. Dorothy's grip on my hand tightened. "What does that mean?" I whispered. "It means," Monroe said carefully, "that the police believe someone caused your crash deliberately, and tomorrow we're going to find out who." The sound of breaking glass woke me at 2:07 in the morning. I sat up in bed, heart hammering. For a moment I thought I'd imagined it. Then I heard it again, the scrape of metal against window frame. Someone was trying to climb through my bedroom window. Dorothy appeared in the doorway, phone already in her hand. 911. She said into the speaker, her voice loud and deliberate. "Someone is breaking into our apartment. Elderly victim. Send officers immediately." She stepped into my bedroom and raised her phone toward the window. "I'm recording you," she shouted. "The police are on their way." A dark figure froze half through the shattered window. Hooded, gloved. I couldn't see a face. Just a silhouette against the streetlight outside. The figure dropped back through the window and disappeared. Dorothy grabbed my arm. "Come on, living room, now." We moved quickly. She locked my bedroom door behind us. We waited in the living room, lights on. Door bolted. My hands shook. My chest ached with every breath. The police arrived 4 minutes later. 2 patrol officers. An elderly victim call gets priority response in Portland. They checked the apartment, cleared every room, examined the broken window. On my bedroom floor beneath the shattered glass was a brick. Wrapped around it, a piece of paper secured with a rubber band. One officer unwrapped it carefully using gloved hands. Block letters, black marker. "Withdraw the charges." No fingerprints. The brick had been handled with gloves. The paper, too. The second officer reviewed the building's security footage on a laptop. A figure in a dark hoodie had entered through the front door at 1:53 a.m. The door had been propped open, a violation of building policy. The figure moved quickly toward the rear stairwell. But the bedroom window faced the side alley, a blind spot. No camera coverage. "Can you identify the person?" Dorothy asked. The officer shook his head. "Height suggests male, approximately 5'10". Build doesn't match the descriptions we have for Travis Brennan or Vanessa Harris. This is someone else." "An accomplice," I whispered. "Most likely," the officer said. "We'll forward this to Detective Brennan. But Mrs. Harris, I have to be honest with you. This apartment is no longer safe." Dorothy's jaw set. "She's coming with me. We're leaving tonight." Now, I asked. Right now. We packed in silence, clothes, medication, documents, everything that mattered crammed into 2 suitcases and a duffel bag. 15 years in this apartment. Gone in one night. At 3:30 in the morning, we carried the bags downstairs. The officers waited by Dorothy's car, scanning the street. One of them stiffened. "There," he said, pointing, "across the street between the streetlights." A shadow, someone standing motionless, watching. The officer crossed the street, flashlight raised. By the time he reached the spot, the figure was gone. "Let's get you out of here," the second officer said. Dorothy drove. I sat in the passenger seat staring out the window. The city blurred past, familiar streets. All of it felt distant now. "Where are we going?" I asked quietly. "My place, Beaverton, 90 minutes away. We'll be there by 5. I nodded. Then I said the words I'd been thinking since the brick came through my window. "I want to leave Portland, Dorothy, for good, somewhere they can't find me." She didn't answer right away, just reached over and squeezed my hand. "We'll figure it out," she said, "one step at a time." Dorothy handed me something as we merged onto the highway, a basic smartphone, still in the box. "Picked this up yesterday," she said. "Prepaid, your number's already ported. Monroe has it, so do the police." I took it. My damaged phone was somewhere in a forensic lab. This would have to do. As I unlocked the screen, a text came through. "Monroe, sent at 5:04 a.m. Forensic team finished early. Recovered your voice recording. Sending encrypted file now. Evelyn, prepare yourself. What's on this recording will change everything." My hands went numb. Dorothy glanced over, saw my face. "What is it?" I showed her the message. Her expression shifted from exhaustion to something sharper. "We're listening to it together," she said. "Right now. If you're still here, pause for a moment and tell me. Do you think what just happened was right, or did it cross a line? Share your honest view in the comments before we go any further." And just so you know, the next part includes some dramatized elements for storytelling and reflection. If you'd rather stop here, that's completely okay. Dorothy's kitchen, 5 in the morning. The world outside still dark. I sat at the table, the new prepaid phone in front of me, Dorothy beside me. Vincent Monroe's voice came through the speaker, steady and professional. Detective Sarah Brennan had joined the call moments earlier. My damaged phone, the one that had been in my purse during the crash, was still at the forensic lab, but they'd extracted the audio file, sent it to Monroe, and now Monroe was forwarding it to this temporary device. "The file is 4 minutes and 12 seconds, Monroe said. 90% recovery. The critical sections are intact." My finger hovered over the play button. I couldn't move. Dorothy's hand covered mine. "Together," she said quietly. I pressed play. 0000 to 0045. My own voice, calm, ordinary, reading aloud. "Milk, eggs, bread. The crackers, Dorothy likes the ones with rosemary, olive oil." The sound of windshield wipers, NPR in the background, rain drumming on the roof of my car. 0046 to 0110. My voice changing, uncertain. "Why is that car so close? They're right on my bumper." A pause, then sharper, afraid. "Oh God, they're going to..." 0111 to 0130. The crash, metal crunching, glass shattering. My own scream cut short. I flinched. Dorothy's grip tightened. 0131 to 0215. Silence. Rain. The faint hiss of a damaged engine. I'd been unconscious. 0216 to 0245. 2 car doors opening. Footsteps. Close. Getting closer. 0246 to 0320. A voice, cold, familiar. "Vanessa." "Is she gone? Check if she's gone." I stopped breathing. "Travis." His voice shaking. "I can't, there's so much." Vanessa sharper now. "Is she breathing? Look at her chest." The sound of someone trying the car door. "Travis." "It's jammed, I can't get it open." 320 I 1 do 3410 I 5. Vanessa panicking. "Someone's stopping. I hear sirens." Travis desperate. "What do we do?" Vanessa clear and decisive. "Get out of here, now, move." 0346 to 0412. Running footsteps. An SUV engine roaring to life. Tires squealing, then sirens growing louder. A paramedic's voice distant and urgent. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" The recording ended. I sat frozen. My hands were numb. my chest tight. I couldn't breathe. Dorothy was crying beside me, silent tears streaming down her face. She checked, I whispered. She checked to see if I was gone, and when I wasn't, she ran. Detective Brennan's voice came through the speaker, low and controlled. Mrs. Harris, this is attempted harm causing serious injury with clear consciousness of guilt. They fled the scene without rendering aid. That's felony hit and run. Combined with the recording, we have proof of intent. Monroe's voice followed. Evelyn, this recording is admissible evidence. Oregon is a one-party consent state. You didn't know you were recording, but the device was yours, activated by you. It's legal, and it's damning. I nodded, though no one could see me. My throat was too tight to speak. Detective Brennan continued. Mrs. Harris, I need to share something else with you. I'm sending an email now. Dorothy, can you help her access it? Dorothy wiped her eyes and reached for her laptop. The email appeared. Subject I-205 Traffic Surveillance, March 28th, 7:30 to 7:50 a.m. Brennan's voice was steady, calm, but there was an edge to it now. What you're about to see will show this wasn't a split-second decision. This wasn't road rage. This wasn't an accident. Dorothy clicked the link. A video player loaded. Grainy footage. Highway camera. Timestamp 7:42:03 a.m. Brennan spoke one more time before the video began. Mrs. Harris, they didn't just cause your crash. They hunted you. The video loaded on Dorothy's laptop. Grainy. Black and white. Timestamp 7:42:03 a.m. March 28th. I-205 South. A traffic camera mounted high above the highway. Rain streaking the lens. My silver Honda Civic 3 miles from where it would be destroyed. A dark SUV entered the frame, close behind my car, too close. I watched myself change lanes, moving left to let the vehicle pass. The SUV changed lanes within seconds, staying right behind me. I changed lanes again, right this time. The SUV followed. Oh God, Dorothy whispered. The camera angle shifted. The SUV was closer now, inches from my rear bumper. I could see myself trying to speed up, but the SUV matched my speed, shadowing me. Another camera. The curve was coming. The guardrail ahead, a sharp bend where the highway dipped south. The SUV accelerated, hard. It closed the distance in seconds. Then it struck. The impact was deliberate, precise. The SUV slammed into my car's rear quarter panel right behind the driver's side door. My car spun. Tires lost traction on wet pavement. The vehicle careened sideways, slamming into the guardrail at full force. Metal crumpling, glass shattering. The SUV continued forward, then pulled onto the shoulder, just beyond the curve, out of the main camera's view. Detective Brennan's voice cut in. The next camera doesn't cover that section of shoulder, blind spot, but we know what happened next. The audio, the recording from my phone, 2 car doors opening, footsteps, Vanessa's voice. They stopped, I whispered. They got out, they checked. Yes, Brennan said. The footage picks them up again 47 seconds later. The screen shifted, a different angle. The dark SUV re-entered the frame, accelerating hard, tires spinning. It sped away, disappearing within seconds. One final camera angle, a close-up as the SUV passed beneath. The license plate clear as day. Oregon 847-DKR. Registered to Travis Allen Brennan, Brennan said. 2019 Ford Explorer. Dark gray. I couldn't speak. I just watched my daughter's husband try to end me. Brennan continued. We have a witness. Truck driver Miguel Santos. Quote, the SUV followed her for at least 2 miles, driving aggressively. At the curve, it accelerated and hit deliberately. The driver aimed for her. Then he fled. Dorothy's hand found mine. Monroe spoke. Forensic analysis confirms paint transfer. The paint on Evelyn's vehicle matches Travis's SUV. Brennan's tone sharpened. We're upgrading the charges. Attempted vehicular assault causing serious injury. Premeditated conspiracy. Felony hit and run. Arrest warrants are being issued this morning. Bail is revoked. Why? I whispered. Why would they do this? Brennan answered. Travis Brennan has gambling debts totaling $83,400. Underground poker, $52,000. Casino losses $18,000. Online betting $13,400. Debt collectors came 2 weeks before your accident. Deadline was March 31st. Dorothy did the math. $43,000 stolen from Evelyn. $250,000 from life insurance. That's $293,752. Enough to cover the debt, Brennan said quietly. I felt cold, hollow. They'd calculated my worth, decided I was more valuable gone than alive. Brennan spoke again. Vanessa Harris has been fired from 3 jobs in 6 years, all for financial misconduct. Most recent was 2022, an elder care facility in Gresham, terminated for inappropriate financial interactions with residents. Dorothy's grip tightened. She's done this before. We believe so, Brennan said. A pause. Mrs. Harris, the name Richard Shepard. Do you know it? I frowned. No, who is he? Brennan's voice was careful. He was Vanessa's husband. 6 years ago. He passed suddenly, and Vanessa inherited everything. Richard Shepard was Vanessa's first husband, Detective Brennan said. He died 6 years ago. He was 68. The death certificate listed cardiac arrest. His daughter never believed it. I sat frozen. Dorothy's hand was still in mine. Brennan continued. Richard was a retired accountant, widowed, healthy, active. He met Vanessa in 2018 at a community college finance class. She was 28. He was 68. They married 4 months later. 4 months, Dorothy whispered. 8 months after the wedding, Richard was dead. Monroe's voice cut in. What did Vanessa inherit? The house, valued at $145,000. His savings account, $37,000, and a life insurance policy, $180,000. Total inheritance approximately $362,000. I felt sick, Brennan went on. Richard's daughter, Nicole Shepard, contested the will. She lost. The case was closed. Natural causes. No evidence of foul play. A new voice joined the call. Female, younger, steady, but tight with emotion. Mrs. Harris, my name is Nicole Shepard. I'm Richard Shepard's daughter. I want you to know what happened to my father. Dorothy squeezed my hand. I nodded, though Nicole couldn't see me. Nicole spoke carefully. My dad was healthy. He ran 3 miles every morning, hiked on weekends. After he married Vanessa, everything changed. He stopped running. He was tired all the time. And within 4 months, she'd cut him off from the entire family. How? Dorothy asked. She said he needed rest, that we stressed him out, that our visits exhausted him. I tried to see him anyway. She turned me away at the door. I called Adult Protective Services. They did a welfare check. My dad told them he was fine. He seemed coherent. They closed the case. 2 months later, he was gone. Silence on the line. Nicole's voice hardened. I confronted Vanessa at the funeral. I told her, I know what you did. She looked me in the eye and said, your father was old and sick. Be grateful he had someone who loved him. I couldn't breathe. I hired a lawyer, Nicole continued. I requested an autopsy, but it was too late. Vanessa had him cremated the day after he died. There was nothing left to test. I lost the case. I lost my father's house. I had no evidence. But you didn't stop, Brennan said quietly. No, I monitored her online, social media, public records. I watched her move from state to state, job to job, always getting fired, always for financial issues. And then 3 weeks ago, a mutual acquaintance mentioned that Vanessa was so worried about her elderly mother. I called Detective Brennan immediately. Brennan spoke again. The parallels are striking. Isolation, financial control, gaslighting about the victim's health, and when theft alone isn't enough, a sudden death. With life insurance as the primary payout. Dorothy's voice was cold. She's done this before. We believe so, Brennan said. I've petitioned the court for exhumation of Richard Shepard's remains. Modern toxicology can detect certain poisons in bone marrow even after 6 years. If Vanessa used medication to induce cardiac arrest, we may still find traces. Monroe added, and there's no statute of limitations on murder. My hands were shaking. I'd thought Vanessa's plan was about money, about desperation. But it wasn't. She'd done this before. She was practiced, calculated. A predator who hunted the elderly and the vulnerable. Brennan's voice shifted, harder now. Mrs. Harris, when we rearrested Vanessa and Travis this morning, we executed a search warrant on Travis's vehicle. We found a second burner phone, hidden under the driver's seat. Dorothy stiffened. What was on it? Recent search history. All from last week, while they were out on bail. Brennan read the searches aloud, each one striking like a blow. How to cause heart attack without leaving trace. Elderly falls that look like accident. Time until inheritance payout after death. Undetectable poisons for elderly victims. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the table. They were still planning, I whispered. Yes, Brennan said. Mrs. Harris, even after their arrest, even after the restraining order, even after being charged with attempted murder, they weren't done with you. They were researching new methods. If they'd made bail again, if they'd had another opportunity. She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Dorothy's voice was steel. They're not getting bail again. No, Brennan said. They're not. They'll be held without bail until trial. And with this new evidence along with the Richard Shepard case, we're building a prosecution that will ensure they never hurt anyone again. Monroe spoke quietly. Evelyn, you're safe now, but we need to prepare. The trial will be difficult. Are you ready for that? I looked at Dorothy, at the laptop screen, at the life I'd barely escaped losing. Yes, I said, I'm ready. 1 week later, April 17th, the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office. I sat across from a woman in her mid-40s, sharp suit, steady eyes, a DA Karen Matsuda. Behind her stacks of file folders rose 2 feet high on the conference table, evidence, witness statements, forensic reports, photos, transcripts. Mrs. Harris, she said, this is one of the clearest cases of elder abuse in Oregon history. We have everything we need to prosecute. Dorothy sat beside me, Monroe on my other side. Detective Brennan stood near the door. Matsuda opened a folder. Detective Brennan has worked 18-hour days for the past week compiling evidence. The case against Vanessa and Travis is airtight. She read the charges aloud. Vanessa Harris attempted harm at the hospital, attempted vehicular assault causing serious injury, financial exploitation of an elderly person, Class B felony, insurance fraud, stalking multiple counts, violation of a restraining order. Travis Brennan attempted vehicular assault, conspiracy to cause serious harm, felony hit and run causing injury, stalking. I listened, each charge a reminder of what they'd tried to do. If this goes to trial, Matsuda continued, Vanessa is looking at 25 to 30 years, Travis 20 to 25. Dorothy's hand found mine under the table. Matsuda leaned forward. But trials are unpredictable. Juries are unpredictable. And for elderly victims, the process is traumatic. You'd have to relive everything, testify, be cross-examined by their defense attorneys. The trial could take 12 to 18 months. I felt the weight of it. 18 more months of this, of living in fear, of looking over my shoulder. There's another option, Matsuda said. A plea agreement. Both defendants plead guilty. Reduce sentences in exchange for a guaranteed conviction. Monroe spoke. What are the terms? Vanessa, 3 years in state prison. Travis, 5 years. Full restitution of the stolen funds, $43,752. Permanent no-contact order, and allocution. Allocution, I asked. A public statement in court, Matsuda explained. They have to admit on the record what they did, in their own words, in front of a judge. It becomes part of the permanent record. Dorothy's grip tightened. So they have to confess, publicly. Yes, Matsuda said. It's a condition of the plea. If they refuse, the deal is off and we go to trial. Monroe looked at me. Evelyn, this is your decision. What do you want? I stared at the files, at the evidence of everything they'd done, everything they'd tried to take from me. What's the alternative? I asked quietly. Trial, Matsuda said. We fight for the maximum sentence, but there's risk. A jury could find them guilty on some charges and not others. Sentencing could be less than we expect. Or, she paused, they could walk free. They could walk free. Dorothy's voice was sharp. It's rare, Matsuda said, but it's possible. Juries are human. Defense attorneys are skilled. I believe we'd win, but I can't guarantee it." I closed my eyes, took a breath. Dorothy's voice soft beside me. "Evelyn, what do you need most?" I opened my eyes, looked at her, at Monroe, at Matsuda. "I'm 60 years old," I said slowly. "I want my life back more than I want revenge. 3 years for her, 5 for him. They admit it publicly. I never see them again." I paused. "I accept." Monroe leaned forward. "Are you sure?" "Yes," I said. My voice was steady now, clear. "I don't want to spend the next year and a half reliving this in a courtroom. I want to start over. I want to heal." Matsuda nodded. "Then we'll move forward with the plea. The restitution will be handled in 2 parts. We've already recovered $31,000 from Vanessa's accounts. The remaining $12,752 will be garnished from their prison wages over time." "How long will that take?" Dorothy asked. "Years," Matsuda admitted. "But it's guaranteed. They can't discharge it. They can't escape it." I nodded. It was enough. Detective Brennan's phone buzzed. She stepped into the hallway, returned a moment later, her face tight. "Exhumation results," she said. Everyone turned. Richard Shepard's bone marrow tested positive for digitalis, a cardiac medication. He'd been prescribed 10 milligrams daily for a mild arrhythmia. The toxicology report shows concentrations consistent with 40 to 60 milligrams per day for more than 3 months. Matsuda's expression sharpened. Someone was adding extra medication to his food. "Yes," Brennan said. "This caused his passing." Matsuda stood. "I'm filing additional charges for Richard Shepard's case, causing the loss of life through deliberate harm. Vanessa's plea agreement now includes that charge. New minimum sentence, 8 years. She looked at me. "Mrs. Harris, this changes the deal. Do you want to proceed with the revised plea or go to trial?" Day 33, May 1st, 28 days since the accident. I hadn't seen Vanessa since the hospital. Now I sat 3 rows behind her in the Multnomah County Courthouse. Orange jumpsuit, shackles, hair pulled back. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. Nicole Shepard sat beside me. Her hand gripped mine tightly. Dorothy was on my other side. Monroe stood near the prosecutor's table. The courtroom was packed, media in the back rows. This wasn't just my story anymore. It was a story about a serial predator who targeted the elderly. Judge Patricia Harding entered. Mid-50s, silver hair, no-nonsense expression. She'd expedited the hearing elder abuse cases with cooperative defendants, moved quickly through her court. ADA Matsuda stood. "Your Honor, the defendants are prepared to enter pleas on all charges." The judge looked at Vanessa. "Ms. Harris, you are charged with causing the loss of life in the 2nd degree in the case of Richard Shepard. How do you plead?" Vanessa's voice was flat, emotionless. "Guilty. Attempted harm causing serious injury to Evelyn Harris. Guilty. Financial exploitation of an elderly person. Guilty." Each word struck like a hammer. The judge turned to Travis. His charges were read. Attempted vehicular assault, conspiracy to cause harm, felony hit and run. Guilty. 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 The judge set down her papers. "The court requires allocution. Ms. Harris, you will state in your own words what you did." Vanessa stood. Her lawyer whispered something. She nodded. Then she spoke. Slowly. Clearly. Each word required by the plea agreement. "I gave Richard Shepard excessive doses of cardiac medication over a period of 4 months. I did this deliberately until he passed from cardiac arrest. My purpose was to inherit his money and property." She paused, took a breath. "I attempted to end my mother's life by disconnecting her life support equipment in the hospital. Before that incident, my husband and I deliberately caused a car accident intended to harm her fatally. I stole $43,752 from her accounts. I also attempted to fraudulently change her life insurance beneficiary designation." I felt Nicole's hand tighten on mine. Travis stood next. His voice shook. "I was the driver who struck Mrs. Harris's vehicle on March 28th. I followed her vehicle for 3 miles on Interstate 205. I deliberately rammed her car intending to cause a fatal accident. I fled the scene without offering aid. I conspired with Vanessa Harris to harm Mrs. Harris for financial gain. He sat down. The courtroom was silent. Judge Harding looked at me. Mrs. Harris, you may deliver your victim impact statement. I stood. My legs shook. Dorothy stood with me, steadied me. I looked at Vanessa. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I raised her alone. I said. My voice was stronger than I expected. I worked 2 shifts so she could have dance lessons and go to college. I taught her to read. I trusted her with everything. I paused. She repaid me by trying to end my life. Twice. She stole 40 years of my savings. She manipulated me. She isolated me from everyone who cared about me. My voice hardened, but I survived. And I will spend the rest of my years living for myself. Not in fear, not looking over my shoulder. I looked directly at Vanessa now. She was staring at the table. I do not forgive her. I do not wish her well. I only hope I never have to see her again. I sat down. Dorothy's arm went around my shoulders. Nicole stood next. Her voice was steady, clear. Vanessa Harris took my father's life 6 years ago. I spent 6 years waiting for someone to believe me, waiting for justice. Thank you, Mrs. Harris, for being strong enough to stop her before she could do this to anyone else. She sat, wiped her eyes. Judge Harding delivered the sentence. Vanessa Harris, you are sentenced to 8 years in the Oregon Department of Corrections. Travis Brennan, 7 years. Full restitution of stolen funds. Permanent no-contact order upon release. The gavel struck. 2 officers moved forward. Vanessa stood, Travis beside her. As they were led toward the side door, Vanessa turned, just for a moment. Our eyes met. I waited, searched her face for something, remorse, regret, anything. Her lips moved, no sound, just the shape of the words. This isn't over. Then the door closed, the locks engaged. I sat frozen. Dorothy leaned close. What did she say? I couldn't answer, because I knew. Prison bars wouldn't change her. They would only delay her. Day 40, May 8th, 1 week after sentencing. Salem, Oregon, 60 miles south of Portland, 1 hour by car. But it felt like a different lifetime. Dorothy and I loaded the last box into the rental truck. I looked back at the apartment. 15 years. The place where I'd raised Vanessa. The neighborhood I'd called home. The city where my daughter had tried to end my life. I was 60 years old, and I was starting completely over. My wrist was still in a cast. 2 more weeks. My ribs ached when I lifted anything heavier than a book. But I could pack with one hand. I could drive. I could leave. We didn't take much. Most of the furniture stayed behind. Too many memories embedded in every piece. Dorothy drove the truck. I followed in her car. Interstate 5 stretched south. Portland's skyline shrank in the rearview mirror. Salem appeared ahead, smaller, quieter, softer. West Salem, tree-lined streets, older homes with wide porches, gardens everywhere, peaceful. The apartment complex was 2 stories, built in the 70s, well-maintained. My unit was on the ground floor, safer, easier. 1 bedroom, a small kitchen, a patio overlooking a shared garden, roses, lavender, bird feeders hanging from the eaves. It was nothing like the place I'd left, and that was exactly what I needed. We unloaded in silence. Dorothy hung curtains. I stacked books on shelves with my good hand. Marcus, a man in his 30s from the unit below, appeared at the door. Need help with anything heavy? He asked. Dorothy handed him 2 boxes. Thank you. An hour later, another knock. A woman in her 60s, flour dusted on her apron. Warm smile. Welcome to the building, she said. I'm Gloria Bennett. I live across the hall. She held out a basket. Homemade sourdough rolls, still warm. The scent of rosemary filled the doorway. I bake every week, she said. If you ever want to learn sourdough, I'm happy to teach. It's easy once you get the hang of it. I took the basket throat tight. Thank you, that's very kind. She smiled and left. Dorothy looked at me. This place is different. Yes, I said quietly. It is. By evening, we'd unpacked most of the essentials. We ordered pizza, sat on the patio, watched the sun set over the garden. Birds sang in the trees. How does it feel? Dorothy asked. I thought about it. Strange, empty, but safe. She nodded. I can stay tonight if you want. No, I said. I need to prove to myself I can do this. Dorothy squeezed my hand. You survived her, Evelyn. You can survive this. She left an hour later. I stood at the door, watched her car pull away. Then I turned back to the apartment. Silence. I checked the locks, twice, then sat on the couch, just breathing. No ghosts of Vanessa here. No memories of her voice, her lies, her cold eyes. Just the sound of birds outside and the safety of distance. That night, I slept without nightmares for the first time in months. At 11:47, my phone buzzed. A text from Monroe. Restitution update. Total of $34,200 recovered from frozen accounts and seized assets. Remaining $9,552 will be garnished from prison wages over time. You're getting your life back, Evelyn. $1 at a time. I typed back with one hand. Thank you for everything. His reply came immediately. You did this. You survived. The rest is just paperwork. I set the phone down, closed my eyes. Tomorrow I would wake up in a new city, a new home, a new life. Tonight I would sleep without fear. For the first time in years, August 8th, 3 months since sentencing. Some mornings I still woke to the sound of footsteps that weren't there. A reflex, hypervigilance. Dr. Hutchins said it would take time, but more often now I woke to bird sounds, to Mrs. Bennett's wind chimes, to children playing down the street. This morning I realized something. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. 3 months of weekly sessions with Dr. Pamela Hutchins, a trauma specialist. The first month I couldn't talk about Vanessa without crying. The second month, I processed guilt. What did I do wrong? Dr. Hutchins repeated the same words until they finally sank in. You didn't create her cruelty, Evelyn. You survived it. Now I saw her every 2 weeks. Progress. We focused on boundaries, self-worth, identity beyond being Vanessa's mother. It was still hard. I checked the locks twice every night. Occasional nightmares, lingering guilt. But I was sleeping better, eating regularly, smiling sometimes. My wrist cast had come off last month. My ribs had healed. I could breathe without pain. In mid-June, I started working part-time at the Salem Public Library. 3 days a week, 4-hour shifts. I didn't need the money. The restitution covered basics. But I needed the routine, the purpose. My coworkers were kind. They didn't know my story. Mr. Albertson, 82, came in every Tuesday. You're very patient, he said once. Not many people treat us old folks like that. I smiled. I know what it's like to be underestimated because of age. 2 afternoons a week, I taught tech for seniors at the senior center. 8 to 10 students. Email basics, video calls, safe online banking. Many were isolated, newly widowed, estranged from family. I shared carefully. I was isolated too. Family can be toxic. Choosing yourself is completely okay. Barbara, 67, confided her son had stolen money from her account. I gave her Monroe's card. Call him, he helped me. She cried, thanked me. I was finding purpose in the pain. Dorothy came the first Saturday of every month, a tradition. We had lunch at the Silver Sage Cafe. The barista knew my order. Decaf latte extra hot, Mrs. Harris. Yes, thank you. Dorothy smiled. You look different, lighter. I feel different, I said. Most days. Our friendship had deepened. It felt like sisterhood now. Monroe checked in quarterly. Vanessa was at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility. Minimum security. Good behavior. She'd always been good at manipulation. Travis was at Snake River. No appeals. No contact attempts. The no-contact order remained intact. Earliest parole, May 2029. 4.5 years away. I checked their locations once a month now. Used to be weekly. Just to confirm they were still far away. I felt relief, not sadness. She's where she belongs, I told Monroe once. A small jar sat on my kitchen counter, a gift from Mrs. Bennett. I'd named it Hope. Every week I fed it. Watched it bubble and grow, patient, resilient, like me. Sunday evening, Dorothy packed her overnight bag. Hey, Evie, she said, are you happy? I paused. 3 months ago, happiness had seemed impossible. But standing here now, in my small apartment, with secondhand furniture and thrift store dishes, knowing I had work I loved, people who cared, a daughter who couldn't reach me. I don't know if I'm happy yet, I said slowly, but I'm learning what it feels like to live for myself. I paused, and that's enough. Dorothy hugged me. That's more than enough. November 1st, 2024, 6 months since sentencing. They say time heals all wounds. I don't think that's true. Time doesn't heal. It teaches you how to carry scars without letting them define who you are. Today I woke up in Salem, Oregon, 60 years old, and for the first time in my life, I chose myself. Cool autumn morning, leaves turning gold, coffee on the patio. I wrote in my journal 6 months, lost a daughter, the apartment I loved, the illusion that family is always safe, gained boundaries, self-respect, peace. At 60, life doesn't end, it begins on my terms. Therapy is now every 2 weeks, a milestone. Dr. Hutchins told me, "You're not just surviving anymore, Evelyn. You're integrating trauma and moving forward." I still have occasional nightmares, but the panic attacks are gone. The hypervigilance is manageable. I'm a regular at Silver Sage Cafe. The barista Mia knows my story. Her grandmother was financially exploited. I connected her with resources. At the library, I've been promoted to volunteer coordinator. I train new volunteers. At the senior center, my computer class has 12 students. 2 have reported elder abuse since taking my class. My story helps others see their own. A small friend group has formed, Barbara 67, Helen 71. We have lunch monthly. Chosen family matters more than blood family. Saturday mornings, I bake sourdough with Mrs. Gloria Bennett. Her kitchen smells like yeast and warmth. Sourdough can't be rushed, she says. Neither can you. My first successful loaf was 2 months ago. I shared it with Dorothy. She cried with joy. You're rebuilding something, Evie, with your own hands. Total restitution recovered $37,100. That includes prison wage garnishments over 6 months. The remaining $6,600 is being garnished at $25 per month from each of them. It'll take years, but it's enforceable. Monroe said, "You may never recover it all, but you're stable." My life is simple but steady. Library income plus restitution plus small savings. Not wealthy, but independent. Monroe's October update. Vanessa is at Coffee Creek. Good behavior. She's still manipulating, still performing. Travis is at Snake River. No appeals, no contact attempts. Earliest parole, May 2029. I check their locations once a month, just to confirm. Relief, not revenge. She's contained. I'm free. Dorothy's monthly visits are sacred. Last weekend, she helped me hang photos. I was finally ready. No photos of Vanessa. I removed them from the frames. Instead, photos of me with Dorothy, Salem landscapes, my library team, my senior center group. You look so different, Dorothy said. Lighter. I feel like myself, I said. Maybe for the first time. We're planning Thanksgiving at her place. Chosen family. Afternoon walks at Minto Brown Island Park, regular exercise. Internal monologue, I used to think 60 was the end. Vanessa weaponized that, but 60 just means I've lived long enough to learn expensive lessons. Acknowledging losses, I lost my daughter years ago. I grieve the daughter I thought I had, not the person she was. Acknowledging gains, I found myself, found my voice, found worth beyond motherhood. The complex truth, I don't hate her, but I don't love her either. I'm indifferent, and that's okay. Letting go. Some people shouldn't be in your life even if you share blood. Small goals spring garden, book club, painting class, maybe dating someday. Bigger goals advocacy. Monroe connected me with the Oregon Elder Abuse Prevention Alliance. I've been invited to speak at an Adult Protective Services training next month. Purpose from trauma. Evening. Patio. Sunset. A text from Nicole. Thinking of you. 6 months since justice. Thank you for helping my father finally rest. I replied, thank you for helping me survive. Your strength gave me strength. At 60, I've learned I matter. My safety matters. My peace matters. I don't owe anyone, even my own daughter, access to my life if they use it to harm me. Boundaries aren't cruelty. They're survival. They're love for yourself. I spent 60 years believing blood makes family. Now I know family is who shows up when you're broken and helps you rebuild. I am Evelyn Marie Harris. I am 60 years old. I survived a car crash. I survived my daughter's attempts to end my life. I survived financial devastation. And every day I choose myself. I choose peace. I choose life on my terms. My phone buzzes. Dorothy, dinner tomorrow. My treat. Thai place. I smile, type back yes. Somewhere in a cell 2 hours north, my daughter sits in the space she created by her choices. Here in Salem, I sit in the home I built from the ashes she left behind. We both made choices. In the end, I am at peace with mine. If you're reading this and you see yourself trapped by someone who shares your blood, doubted because of your age, isolated and afraid, please know, it's never too late. You are not too old. You deserve freedom. At 60, I started over. So can you. Looking back at my story, I see clearly now I ignored the warning signs because I wanted to believe family meant safety. Don't be like me. Don't ignore your instincts when something feels wrong. God gave us intuition for a reason, trust it. These family drama stories aren't just entertainment. They're warnings. When someone, even your own child, isolates you, controls your finances, or makes you question your own mind, that's abuse. Family drama stories like mine teach us that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. God doesn't ask us to endure harm in silence. He asks us to value ourselves. My advice: set boundaries early. Protect your accounts. Keep trusted friends close. Document everything. And remember, choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. Many grandma stories like mine end tragically. Mine didn't because I had people who believed me. Dorothy, Monroe, Dr. Sanderson, Nicole. God placed them in my path when I needed them most. The lesson from family drama stories: real family shows up when you're broken and helps you rebuild. Grandma stories remind us we're never too old to start over. These grandma stories prove that at 60, 70, or beyond, you can reclaim your life. At 60, I learned your worth isn't tied to who loves you. It's tied to how you love yourself. God created you with value. Don't let anyone, family or otherwise, convince you otherwise. If my story resonates, please share it. Someone needs to hear this today. Final note. This content contains dramatized storytelling elements for educational purposes. Some details are fictionalized, but the lessons and messages are entirely valuable. If this style isn't for you, that's okay. Please seek content that better suits your needs.